Very good afternoon. Welcome to the Midday News on Rajya Sabha TV. I'm Ashwarya with Kapoor with you. All the biggest news stories from India and across the world coming up in the next 30 minutes. Here are the headlines first. Vietnam's Vice President Dang Thi Ngoc Thin holds talks with Vice President M. Venkaiah Naidu in New Delhi. Direct flight between New Delhi and Hanoi to be announced this evening. US President's visit very special, will further cement India-US ties, says Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Donald Trump calls Prime Minister Modi a great gentleman, says looking forward to first visit to India on 24th and 25th of February. Arvind Kejriwal, elected leader of AAP legislature party, set to return as Delhi Chief Minister after his party wins 62 seats in 70-member Delhi Assembly. Lieutenant Governor Anil Baijal meets Kejriwal ahead of the MLA's meet. Delegation of 25 foreign envoys arrive in Srinagar. Second visit by a foreign delegation to Jammu and Kashmir after abrogation of Article 370. And China coronavirus disease been named COVID-19. WHO calls for efforts to fight the virus aggressively as death toll mounts to 1,100. Screening at 21 airports, 12 ports and border crossings in India. Government says situation under control. The top story this afternoon, Vice President M. Venkaiah Naidu is currently holding bilateral delegation level talks with his Vietnamese counterpart. The meeting is underway at the Hyderabad House in New Delhi. During the meeting, a direct flight between the two countries is also likely to be announced. The Vietnamese Vice President will also call upon President Ram Nath Kovind during the visit. And after Delhi, she is scheduled to visit Bodh Gaya on 13th of February. The visit of the Vietnamese Vice President would strengthen the comprehensive strategic partnership established in 2016 between the two countries. All right, so these are the visuals from the Hyderabad House where Vietnamese Vice President, who is on a 4-day visit to our country, is holding talks with Vice President M. Venkaiah Naidu. And the idea, of course, of the visit is to strengthen the comprehensive strategic partnership between the two nations that was established in 2016. And apart from holding talks with the Vice President, she will also call on President Ram Nath Kovind. And it is expected that after her talks with the Vice President Naidu, the direct flight between India and Vietnam would be announced. The MEA had also earlier said that India-Vietnam relations are built on the firm foundation of close cultural, historical and civilizational links and are marked by mutual trust and understanding as well as strong cooperation in regional and international fora. All right, let's get all the updates. Akhilesh Suman is now joining us on the phone line for more details. Akhilesh, a very good afternoon. Akhilesh, this is a very significant visit of the Vietnamese Vice President to our country, and she's currently holding a bilateral delegation level talks with the Vice President as well, and is also expected to call on President Ram Nath Kovind. What can be expected? But we do know that there is going to be an announcement about a direct flight between India and Vietnam. What else can you tell us?
You know, India and Vietnam relations are growing very fast, and everyone is aware that India and Vietnam are sharing also in oil exploration, gas exploration also. So I think one of the major areas of cooperation is going to be that. And, Vice President is meeting. So in that way, we can expect that India-Vietnam relations will grow more than it was earlier. And recently, there has been many development on this front, specifically in the defense front, because recently there has been in Lucknow, Defense Expo. And in Defense Expo, I think Vietnamese delegation was also there, and they are also keen in cooperating more deeply with our defense sector. And as it is aware that Vietnam and India are cooperating in BrahMos missile, though dates are not announced when BrahMos missile will be delivered to them. But talks are going on, preparations are going on, and in coming days we will hear the news that yes, BrahMos missile. So other than that, trade relations are very important between India and Vietnam is very keen that India should proactively be in trade relations with Vietnam, because given the fact that they are near the Chinese, and Chinese are also aggressively trying to tap Vietnamese market. And as far as manufacturing sector is concerned, many of the Vietnamese economy and Indian economy are not supplementary. Actually, they are independent of each other. In that way, India can give something to Vietnam, and Vietnam can give something to India. So I think trade relations will also grow. And though it will not be any formal announcement today, but by the evening we may know some contours of the meeting that has taken place. Because these meetings are closed-door meetings. Today is a vice president meeting. And after he meets the president, we will get some input from External Affairs Ministry formally, and we will be able to see the contours of the meeting today. That's what.
All right. You keep tracking those developments, Akhilesh. We'll keep coming back to you. Let's get you some other news now. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has said that India will accord a memorable welcome to US President Donald Trump and First Lady Melania Trump during their visit later this month. In a Twitter message, Prime Minister Modi has said that the visit will go a long way in further cementing India-United States friendship. He further said that India and the US share a common commitment to democracy and pluralism. He added that the two nations are cooperating extensively on a wide range of issues. And earlier, US President Donald Trump said that he was looking forward to his visit to India. He also spoke about addressing a huge crowd of millions of people in India and calling Prime Minister Modi a great gentleman. He said that he is looking forward to the visit. He said that Prime Minister Modi told him that there will be millions of people just from the airport to the new stadium in Ahmedabad to welcome him. At the invitation of Prime Minister Narendra Modi, Donald Trump will arrive in India on 24th and 25th of February, and the two leaders will also address a joint public meeting at the newly built Motera Stadium in Ahmedabad. This will be the US President's first visit to India. He will be accompanied by First Lady Melania Trump.
I just spoke with Prime Minister Modi, and it's going to be I don't know who's going, but he said we will have millions and millions of people. My only problem is, so last night we probably had 40 or 50,000 people, far more than anyone else, but when we have 50,000 people nowadays, fellas, I'm not going to feel so good, because he thinks we'll have 5 to 7 million people just from the airport to the new stadium. And it's the largest stadium in the world. He's building it now. It's almost complete, and it's the largest in the world. And he's a friend of mine. He's a great gentleman, and I look forward to going to India. So we'll be going at the end of the month.
And in an official release, the Ministry of External Affairs said that during the two-day visit, President Donald Trump and First Lady will attend official engagements in New Delhi and in Gujarat. They will interact with a wide section of the Indian society. The ministry has said that President Donald Trump's upcoming visit will give a boost to India-US strategic partnership. News from the national capital now, and Arvind Kejriwal is all set to return as the Delhi Chief Minister. The newly elected MLAs of the Aam Aadmi Party have officially elected Arvind Kejriwal as the leader of AAP's legislative party. Arvind Kejriwal also earlier held a meeting with the Delhi Lieutenant Governor Anil Bajal this morning, ahead of his meeting with the newly elected MLAs. Now, in the 70-member Delhi Assembly, the Aam Aadmi Party won 62 seats, 5 less than what it got in 2015. The BJP finished a distant second with 8 seats in its kitty, 5 seats more than what it got in the last assembly elections. And the Congress party has faced complete decimation for the second time, winning no seat and 63 of its candidates losing their deposits. All right, so Arvind Kejriwal has returned to power in Delhi with his stunning election victory. And there are reports now that the oath taking might take place on Sunday in Delhi's Ramlila ground. He also called on the governor of Delhi, Anil Bejal, this morning before being elected as the leader of the legislative party. All right. We have with us our colleague Anu Devan joining us on the phone line for more details. A very good afternoon, Anu. Anu, we understand that Arvind Kejriwal has met with Anil Bejal, the governor of Delhi, this morning, and he was, of course, elected as the leader of the legislative party. And there are now reports that he will take oath as the chief minister for the third consecutive term on Sunday. The oath-taking ceremony likely to take place at Ramlila Maidan. What more can you tell us?
Definitely, Aishwarya, after the victory of Aam Aadmi Party, today in the morning, Arvind Kejriwal, first of all, went to meet Lieutenant Governor Anil Bejal. And after that, he had a meeting with the party MLAs where he was officially elected the leader of AAP legislation in the assembly. And according to the reports we are getting, that Arvind Kejriwal is likely to take oath on 16th of February, that is Sunday. But in a very short while, Manish Sisodia will be announcing it formally. And there is also a report that party leaders from across the country will be called on for this oath ceremony, and their oath ceremony is likely to be held at the same place where Arvind Kejriwal earlier used to took in 2015, that is Ramlila Maidan. So we are just waiting for the formal announcement by Manish Sisodia. He is about to hold a press conference on this point relating to it, and talking about the this time we are likely to see the new faces in Arvind cabinet, as there are not many youth and young MLAs being elected this time. As we talk about Raghav Chadha or Atishi Malena, to whom we since 2015 we have talked about these two people a lot more, as they have been doing the Delhi government work officially, but from the backdrop. Over to you, Aishwarya.
All right. Thank you, Anu, for all those updates there. Let's get to some other news now. The second batch of foreign envoys have arrived in Srinagar to assess the ground situation in the region, nearly 6 months after the abrogation of Article 370 of the Constitution. The batch has 25 foreign envoys, including envoys from Germany, Canada, France, New Zealand, Mexico, Italy, Afghanistan, Austria, Uzbekistan, Poland, as well as envoys of the European Union. The delegation will meet representatives of the media, civil society groups, as well as from political parties. Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman responded to the discussion on the Union budget in both houses of Parliament yesterday. In her reply in the Rajya Sabha, Nirmala Sitharaman said that the economy is moving fast due to the steps taken by the government. She also said the country's GDP was $2 trillion in 2014-15, which has increased to $2.9 trillion in 2019-20, adding that the country's debt has also come down.
The nominal GDP of the country has increased from 2 trillion, sir, in 2014-15 to 2.7 trillion in 18-19, and it has reached 2.9 trillion by 2019-20. The macroeconomic stability is something which all of us will have to keep in mind. The averaging GDP growth has been at 7.4%. and inflation has been at 4.5%. And then, based on RBI estimates, the central government's liabilities have come down from 52.2% of GDP by the end of March 2014, that is, to 49.4% by the end of March 2019, clearly showing a healthy trend in terms of liability to the GDP.
And the finance minister also said that the world's attitude towards India has also changed, and in this situation, FDI and FPI have increased.
The global sentiment, sir, is towards India in a very, very favorable mood, and that is seen by the investments which are coming from the foreign investors, which is continuing to show confidence in India. The net FDI flows is 24.4 billion, which was in April-November 2019-20, compared to 21.1 billion in April-November 2018-19. Second, the FPI flows, the net FPI flows in April to November 2019-20, sir, has been very positive at 12.6 billion, as against an outflow of 8.7 billion in April to November 18-19. The third is we've announced a national infrastructure pipeline, and in that we've already identified projects worth 103 lakh crores, for which 22,000 crores have already been invested.
And the Finance Minister also talked about the rapid industrial development taking place in our country and said that foreign exchange reserves have also increased, and added that there has been an increase in the collection of the GST as well.
The forex, foreign exchange reserves, that have been built up from 413 billion by the end of March 2019 to 466.69 billion as on 24th January 2020. Revenue collection is really improving and consistently improving. So month of January, sir, 1,10,000 crores, 1,10,828 crores has been collected. During April 19, January 20, the gross GST revenue collected has surpassed 1 lakh more than 6 times, and therefore pointing towards an increased economic activity.
And earlier leaders from various political parties participated in the discussion on the union budget in Rajya Sabha. Let's take a listen.
Tamil Nadu has been the cradle of civilization and is one of the oldest and most advanced civilizations in the annals of world history. I express our sincere thanks and gratitude to the Honorable Finance Minister for announcing Adichanallur as part of the upgrading 5 archaeological sites in the country. Our Chief Minister has requested the central government to add KEJRIWAL archaeological site also. I would request the union government to sanction ₹50 crore to conduct large-scale archaeological excavations in the ancient sites of Poopugar, Keeladi, Kodumanal, Kodkai in Tamil Nadu.
The economy is not in the ICU. It has been taken to the ventilator already. For the ventilator, how can it come out? They have some panacea, some doctors, and their main panacea is that to privatize everything, to see that all the wealth of the nation is sold to the private profit mongers. And they have an option, one more option, that is the FDI. So these two medicines are not going to help this economy, which is already in the ventilator, sir.
ये स्वीकार करने को तैयार नहीं कि अर्थव्यवस्था को संभालने की आवश्यकता है। उल्टे हम कहते हैं कि हमारी इकोनॉमी की फाउंडेशन बड़ी स्ट्रांग है, बहुत स्ट्रांग है, फंडामेंटल बहुत स्ट्रांग है। कहा जा रहा है 2020-21 में जीडीपी ग्रोथ 10% रहेगी। ये क्या आधार है? इसका कोई आधार नहीं नजर आता।
मेरा मानना है यदि हमें अपने देश की तरक्की करनी है, और देश की तरक्की गांव खेत खलिहान से होकर गुजरती है। यदि किसान खुशहाल होगा, गांव खुशहाल होगा, तो शहर खुशहाल होगा, और जब शहर खुशहाल होगा तो पूरा देश खुशहाल होगा। आज किसान के पास उतने आय के साधन नहीं है कि वो अच्छा मकान बना सके, सही ढंग से रह सके। जब उसकी हालत सुधरेगी, वो आर्थिक रूप से मजबूत होगा, तो वो मकान बनाएगा, अच्छी शादी करेगा, व्यापारी के पास जाएगा सामान खरीदने के लिए, तो बाजार भी खुशहाल रहेंगे।
Budget 2020 is a budget that continues this determined effort by this government, an effort that commenced in 2014 when it inherited a broken, corrupted economy. Budget 2020 is the first one of this new decade and is also the first one to take on the Prime Minister's next objective of expanding the economy after focusing the last 5 years on cleaning and rebuilding the economy.
Sir, 1966 से लेकर जब से हरियाणा बना, 1966 से लेकर 2014 तक 48 साल में हरियाणा का कुल कर्जा 70,000 करोड़ रुपया ही था। लेकिन सर 3.5 साल में ही मार्च 18 तक 90,000 करोड़ रुपया बढ़ गया कर्जा, और 1 लाख से ज़्यादा, 1,61,000 से ज़्यादा, और अब तो 2 लाख के करीब पहुंचता जा रहा है। और सर इसके साथ अगर हम जोड़ दें कि जीएसटी में जो नुकसान राज्यों का होगा, जैसा माननीय चिदम्बरम जी ने कहा कि एवरेज में 5,000 करोड़ रुपया हर राज्य का नुकसान होगा, तो हरियाणा जैसा छोटा राज्य है तो 3 से 4,000 करोड़ रुपया नुकसान हरियाणा का भी होगा, इसमें ये लाजमी है। तो कैसे छोटे छोटे राज्य हमारे जैसे कैसे उभर पाएंगे?
Is that the disinvestment target which is placed by the Honorable Finance Minister for next year is 210,000 crore, which is apparently on high side given the track record for last 2 years. There is a likelihood of an exceptionally sharp increase in direct tax revenues, and where would that come from? That would come from Vivad Se Vishwas scheme.
This I told you about the NRIs. NRIs play a pivotal role in the economy, especially in Kerala. Now, about Kerala, the government is totally neglected.
The net FDI in the first 8 months of this year was $24.4 billion. What has been the money which came into the equity, foreign equity, which came into the portfolio investments? 26.1 billion crores. So, what is our foreign exchange reserves? $470 billion.
The Parliamentary Standing Committee on Labour has asked all contract workers to be brought under the ambit of the Occupational Safety, Health and Work Conditions Code 2019. The committee has emphasised that whether those contract workers are directly recruited by the Government of India or the state governments or through contractors, they should be brought under the purview of this code. Also, its definition should be made broad and clear so that all categories of contract workers can be included in it. The Standing Committee on Labour, headed by MP Bhartrihari Mahatab, had made a number of important recommendations while extensively examining the Occupational Safety, Health and Work Code 2019. The government's intention is to incorporate 13 important labour laws in this code. 5 MPs have also given dissenting comments on the committee's report. The code was introduced in the Lok Sabha on 23rd of July last year, which was then sent to the committee for investigation. On to some other news now. Vice President M. Venkaiah Naidu had several meetings this morning. Army Chief Manoj Mukund Narvane held a meeting with Vice President Naidu at his residence today morning. Nobel laureate Kailash Satyarthi also met with Vice President Naidu this morning. In the meeting, he discussed measures to curb child pornography. He also thanked the Vice President for setting up of an ad hoc committee over the issue. And UGC Chairman DP Singh also called on Vice President Naidu. He highlighted the steps being taken by the UGC on higher education. The Union Health Ministry on Tuesday notified medical equipment used on humans or animals as drugs under Section 3 of the Drugs and Cosmetics Act with effect from 1st of April 2020. Non-medical equipment includes all implantable medical devices, CT scan, MRI equipment, dialysis machine, X-ray machine and bone marrow cell separator. The aim is to regulate all medical devices so that they meet certain standards of quality. Besides, it will also make medical device companies accountable for quality and safety of their products. Once notified, the manufacture, import and sale of all medical devices will need to be certified by the Central Drugs Standard Control Organization. Let's get to some international news now. India has condemned the heinous terror attack in Afghanistan's Kabul on Tuesday and asserted that the international community must unite in the fight against terrorism. A suicide attacker targeted a military academy in the Afghan capital and killed at least 5 persons early on Tuesday. This is the first major assault in the city in months. The Ministry of External Affairs in a statement has said that India in the strongest terms condemns the heinous terrorist attack which led to casualties of a number of Afghan nationals on Tuesday morning in front of Marshal Fahim National Defense University in Kabul. And now an update on the coronavirus and the novel coronavirus. The disease has now been named as COVID-19. The World Health Organization announced this on Wednesday and also called on the world to fight the new virus as aggressively as possible. Now this, even as the death toll from the virus has passed 1,000 and there are now more than 42,000 confirmed cases across China. The number of deaths have also overtaken that of the SARS epidemic in 2002-2003. Beijing has also removed several senior officials over their actions to control the disease. Meanwhile, scientists from around the world are meeting in Geneva to discuss ways to combat the outbreak. Meanwhile, in India, screening is on at airports, major ports and border crossings to check the spread of the virus in our country. The government has informed that over 1.9 lakh passengers have been screened for coronavirus at 21 airports across the country. The Union Health Ministry is also extending all support to the states and union territories in order to combat the situation. Over 9,000 people are also under community surveillance. And with that, we wrap up this edition of Midday News. Thanks so much for watching.